Hi, welcome back to ETF Watch. It's Christian Magoon with Amplify ETFs. Today's episode, we're going to focus on our most exciting new ETFs, which is BITY and BAGY. These are covered call ETFs that focus on the growth and the income potential of Bitcoin. So covered call Bitcoin ETFs, buckle up, we're going to get into it. So Bitcoin's in the news this year, whether it's governments, corporations, investors, certainly looking at this as a new asset class, a finite source of assets with only 21 million Bitcoin ever going to be in existence per the code. And there are portfolio benefits that Bitcoin brings to the table as well. And that's mostly diversification. There's a very low correlation of Bitcoin to other asset classes. Also volatility. Bitcoin has about 4 times more volatility than the S&P 500, which suggests to us that you can harvest that volatility through option writing in the form of covered calls to create a stream of income and not only participate in the growth of Bitcoin, but also create a very healthy stream of income along the way. And that's where we'll get into our BITY and BAGY ETFs. So let's start with our first Bitcoin covered call ETF, BITY, B-I-T-Y. And this is an ETF that essentially is writing options on Bitcoin to produce an annualized yield of 24% or 2% a month. How does it work? First, we buy long Bitcoin exposure through Bitcoin ETPs and options. Then we write or sell weekly covered call options on a portion of the portfolio, which are about 5 to 10% out of the money, to generate 2% monthly option income or 24% premium on an annualized basis. One key point here is we are doing weekly call options, which give us the ability to reset each week and thus give us the potential for more upside in a month versus only writing monthly options. When those weekly options expire, we roll those and replace with a new one to help generate ongoing option premiums. And then we distribute once a month that option income. So let's take a look at the first distribution for BITY. As of May 31st, the distribution rate was 25.62%, quite healthy. 30-day SEC yield 2.42%, but certainly a very attractive yield here. And how did that impact total return? What if you just bought Bitcoin versus BITY? Well, let's take a look at the chart. Here's roughly the first 40 days or so the fund has been in existence. You can see the total return has been very appealing relative to just owning Bitcoin. This is because we were able to participate in a fair amount of the upside of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin didn't go up the whole time. There was some moderation in its return, and that allowed BITY to catch up due to the option income stream that it was able to harvest. Again, this is a great example of how BITY balances capital appreciation with collecting option income to create, hopefully, a very attractive total return experience for investors. So now let's move to the other Bitcoin covered call ETF at Amplify, BAGY. This is an ETF that seeks to maximize current income through a covered call strategy tied to the investment exposure of Bitcoin. BAGY seeks 30 to 60% annualized option income. So let's look at the portfolio construction of BAGY. Again, we're buying long Bitcoin exposure through Bitcoin ETPs and options. Then we're selling weekly calls on all of the portfolio, 5% out of the money to maximize income. This still provides about 5% Bitcoin upside potential on a weekly basis. So again, you see a little bit of different dynamic here between BITY and BAGY and how they're both writing covered calls on a weekly basis, but targeting slightly different figures for different income and capital appreciation potential. Like BITY, we're going to roll on a weekly basis the expiring covered call options and replace with new ones. And just like BITY, BAGY will distribute each month. So let's take a look at the yield numbers for BAGY. You can see the first distribution here on a monthly basis, annualized to be 32.25%, a healthy step up from BITY, and the SEC yield at 3.10%. Let's take a look at the total return of BAGY relative to Bitcoin. And as you can see, a very appealing total return here. In this case, over the first 40 or so days that BAGY's been out, we've seen markets kind of go up and then down in terms of prices. And that's really benefited BAGY's approach to investing in this space. Again, balancing growth upside with the ability to write covered calls and generate option income for, again, what we believe will be attractive total return experience for investors over the long term. So as you can see, we're really excited to add BITY and BAGY to the Amplify ETF suite. Hey, if you're interested in products that produce attractive income, you need to go to amplifyetfs.com/yields to sign up for our yield email. On that page, you can see all of our ETFs and their current yields, whether it's their distribution rate or the SEC yield. You can also be kept up to date on a monthly basis when distributions come out. We're building a very attractive, diverse income suite at Amplify, and we want you to be on top of the latest news. So thanks for watching ETF Watch with Amplify ETFs. We'll see you next time.